Hello, Dr. Joe here. So in my hand here, I've got vitamin E supplement, and on this other hand, I've got another supplement. Now, for a lot of people, they're using lots of supplements, and for convenience reasons, what they tend to do is they lump their supplements together, so they take all of them either in the morning or at night. Now, when you do this, most of the time it works in your favor, but there are times when it actually works against you because there are some nutrients that tend to compete with each other. So they are in a constant battle. And in that battle, one of the nutrients loses out. And you end up becoming deficient in the nutrient that loses out in that very battle. And also some nutraceutical companies, they are guilty of this too. So that is what we're going to be talking about in today's video. It's about unholy pairings. It's about vitamins and minerals that interfere with each other. And I've got four that I'm going to be sharing with you today. Vitamins and minerals that interfere with each other such that you become deficient in one of those. So let's talk about pairing number one. And this one has to do with calcium and iron. By the way, the other point to make here is that sometimes diet comes into the picture too, as in this very case. So should you take your calcium and your iron together? Well, the answer to that question is no. Why is that? Well, because we do know that from studies that is, that calcium does inhibit the absorption of iron. And this happens regardless of whether the source of the calcium is dietary or whether it's coming from supplements. So in this very picture that I'm talking about here, diet comes into the picture. And the net effect of this, by the way, is that you become iron deficient, despite the fact that you're taking an iron supplement, okay? So what should you do in this very instance? Well, the solution to that problem is that don't eat your calcium-rich food 2 to 3 hours before you take your iron supplement. And the idea behind this is that the calcium may still be hanging around, and if you take your iron supplement so soon, it will interfere with the iron absorption. In the same vein, you don't want to eat your calcium-rich food about 2 to 3 hours after you've taken your iron supplement, because the iron may still be hanging around waiting to be absorbed. And then what happens then is the iron doesn't get absorbed as it should, and you end up losing out and become iron deficient. So this is when diet comes into the picture. What about, when it's just supplements? What should you do? Well, you take your calcium and your iron supplements at least 3 hours apart, okay? So if you do this, you win. You don't lose out and you don't become iron deficient. So that's pairing number one. Let's talk about pairing number two. And this one has to do with vitamin C and vitamin B12. Now, who loses out in this very one? Well, let's have a look, shall we? What we do know is that, from research that is, that high doses of vitamin C can reduce the amount of vitamin B12 that your body absorbs and your body metabolizes. So you end up becoming vitamin B12 deficient because vitamin B12 loses out in this very battle. And it is a problem, and especially if you're somebody who is using high doses like 500 milligrams of vitamin C or 1,000 milligrams. You really don't want to be taking them together. So what's the solution? Well, the solution is that you take your vitamin C and your vitamin B12 at least 2 hours apart, okay? If you do this, then you don't interfere, the vitamin C doesn't interfere with the vitamin B12 absorption. So that is pairing number two. Let's move on to pairing number three. And this one has to do with zinc and copper. And this is a very fierce battle, I have to say, between zinc and copper. So should you use them together? No, you shouldn't, because we do know that zinc and copper, they share similar pathways for absorption in the small intestine. And when you take them together, the copper loses out, okay? So, like I've said here, who wins in this very battle? Well, the zinc wins, and then the copper loses out, and you become copper deficient, and you don't want that. In fact, the battle between zinc and copper is so fierce that we tend to use zinc for the treatment of a condition we call Wilson's disease. Wilson's disease is a genetic condition where there's copper accumulation in the body. And one of the treatment modalities is for us to use zinc to reduce the absorption of copper. That's how fierce the battle is, because the zinc always wins. So, what should you do in this very instance? Well, your zinc and your copper, I will suggest you take them 12 hours apart. Okay, that's what you should do. In actual fact, my suggestion is probably take them on alternate day, because like I said, the battle between the zinc and the copper is really fierce. So you take your zinc today, and then next day you take your copper, and then the day after you go back to your zinc. So that is what I would suggest. But if you want to take them on the same day, if you're so keen on taking them on the same day, take them at least 12 hours apart. So that is pairing number 3. Let's move on to unholy pairing number 4. And this one has to do with vitamin E and vitamin K. This is a problem. Should you take them together? No, you shouldn't. Why is that? Well, because we know that vitamin E does interfere with vitamin K's functionality, and this is a problem. We do know that the vitamin E does interfere with the conversion to the active forms of vitamin K, which means that vitamin K cannot perform its functions because it's a clotting vitamin. It helps to promote clotting, and the net effect of that is you become vitamin K deficient, which means it predisposes you to bleeding. And this has implications for people who are on blood thinning medications. Okay, so it could be a problem for them because it predisposes them to bleeding. Not just that, if you're somebody who is considering going for a surgical procedure, a planned surgical procedure, you could also run into difficulties as well. So the use of vitamin E and vitamin K together does not really work. If you are going for surgery and you're using vitamin E, it would be a good idea for you to discontinue using your vitamin E supplements long before you go for your surgical procedure. Okay, so those are the 4 pairings that I wanted to share with you today. Let me know if any of these resonate with you, if they rhyme with you. Now, there's another pairing that is so common, I didn't want to lump it together in this very video. I shall talk about that in a separate video coming up in the near future. So hopefully you got some value from this very video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please like the video, and also please share this video with your friends, with your family, with your colleagues. Any questions, any comments, leave them down below. That's it for this very video. Until next time, well, this is Dr. Joe signing out.